Okay, guys. Are sexual fantasies acceptable in a relationship?
Long
term?
Sexual fantasies.
You give your opinion. Long term, short term?
I'm too scared to give my opinion when you lot.
No, please give it. I'd like to hear it.
Come on, Andre.
Yeah, no, let's leave it to one of the ladies first.
Why?
Do girls have fantasies while having sex with us guys? After a while,
Yeah.
do you feel like you want to imagine somebody else?
Sometimes you have to.
Sometimes it would be nice to have your fantasy within your relationship, but it depends if your partner wants it to be a part of your
Right, is it a
sexual
mental
relationship.
fantasy or a play-out fantasy we're talking about?
Like role play.
Oh, you mean one of those where you well, that's not one of my fantasies, so I can't really answer that question.
So if you was in bed with your husband, would you tell him that you was having a fantasy about somebody else, or would it just be something that you could use in your own mind to spice up your marriage, obviously, if it was going a little bit
No,
stale?
I wouldn't tell him, no.
You wouldn't tell
No, I
him?
wouldn't
Do you
tell
think
him,
he'd be
no.
upset?
I think he'd be very upset.
Yeah.
Very upset.
If he was fantasising about a woman, would you be upset?
I'm sure I would. But I wouldn't think he'd mind if I thought I was like in bed with somebody stupid like Donny
That's what
Osmond
I'm
or
saying.
something like that. I'm sure he'd accept that one because that's never going to happen.
If it's somebody famous and if he was dreaming about, I don't know, someone from...
then yeah,
Someone who's gorgeous.
you can
Girls Aloud
joke, then you
or-
can
I don't
joke
know.
about
Yeah.
it. But you can have maybe not thinking about somebody, but you can think about something and discuss it with your partner if that's okay to go for it or not. And then obviously it's up to your partner and yourself if you carry that sexual fantasy out as a couple.
Do you look, when you're fantasising, as a romantic fantasy, or like us guys do, as an erotic fantasy?
Erotic. Oh, sorry.
No, it's just-
Let him
it's okay.
finish. Straight in.
No, I mean, we guys use eroticism. We think of something that could be...
So do us women too.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so what kind of fantasy would you say? Would you say it would be because you're fantasising about moving on with another man to another country in a lifestyle that's leading like this, or his tattoos that run down his
boring.
leg and whatever?
Boring.
Right, so therefore, what is a fantasy you girls have?
Yeah, but I suppose everybody's got their own... You know, every individual wouldn't have the same fantasy.
No.
Definitely not.
And it depends on what frame of mind you are at the time.
Would you fantasise about a friend that you knew?
A friend.
For example, you're with your husband and you knew a friend and you think, I wonder what it'd be like to have sex with him, and start thinking about this?
Depends how fit he was.
But
I
you
think
would
she's
use
doing
it.
it
You mean
now.
a female friend joining you? Or?
No, a male friend.
a male
or,
friend.
For example,
And
if
but is this male friend married to your friend?
well, you wouldn't know. It doesn't make a difference because a fantasy, you change the aspect of
Oh,
life,
yeah.
don't you?
Yeah,
For example, I could be sleeping with somebody and think of one of you girls and think, I wonder what it would be like to... And then in your mind, you start
Fantasising.
undressing
Yeah,
them.
but
and
then
that's
would
what
you-
it's
Yeah.
about.
But you
Would
have
you-
to
so
be
would you-
careful with the name thing then.
So would you tell your partner
No.
that...
Why? Why hurt them? Why make them feel
No, you
Exactly.
couldn't.
So,
inadequate?
so you wouldn't think,
You
oh, it'd be
couldn't
nice
ju-
if
no.
Karen or Jodie
No.
or Joe could join
No, you
us.
wouldn't. You do that privately because what you're doing then is you are enjoying the person you're with and stimulating yourself more for that person by thinking of something else that's not routine. Because let's face it, when you're in a relationship for a long time with someone, it becomes routine.
It's boring.
Okay, so Jodie brought up the like, would it be involved in the sexual relationship? So would you never feel you'd like to say to your partner, "Oh, can we invite Karen along?" Or,
No, because that's
But
taking a
that's-
fantasy
Oh, no,
into
I don't
reality.
That's
Is
not
that
a
making it-
fantasy.
Yeah.
then.
That's changing something. That's going into the other realms.
Yeah,
I
that's
think-
taking
Okay.
fantasy to
yeah,
reality,
but
which
still,
you don't
that's
do.
your fantasy. And if it would be okay to do it maybe just once even.
A fantasy is something that you probably will never
Never-
ever
it's
have,
not real.
but you enjoy the fantasy
It's
of
the
it.
thought of it, isn't it? You don't. I mean, a lot of women, probably not you three. I'm going to make me look so
Here we go.
stupid again. A lot of women fantasise about being abducted.
Hey?
No.
You being
Seriously?
serious?
Yeah, seriously. I've read about this.
Oh.
About being abducted by a stranger and then slowly coming to terms with the stranger and then living
Oh,
out,
it's
whatever.
That's not a fantasy.
That's not a
It
fantasy.
is,
That's
but nobody would want to take that into reality.
That's a sick fantasy.
No.
That's
It's
a
I didn't say
perversion.
it was mine.
No, but
I've
I'm just
read
saying.
about it.
But
I'm doing it again.
That's like a warped mind fantasy.
Do you know somebody? Do you know
No,
somebody
no,
who does
I've
that?
just read in a lads mag or whatever that's one of the
Don't know
top
what you're reading.
the
but-
top
No.
10 fantasies.
The number one fantasy that occurs at the moment for women is having two men.
Yes.
And
That's-
for
that's
guys, it's probably the same. Or someone you know and having sex with them in your mind, but you know you'll never be able to in reality. So therefore, that is our power trip. That is our way of saying, I've had sex with that woman in my mind, and I know what she can do and how she does it and what happened to her.
Andre's like that all the time. He has them every minute.
I just like the way you flicked to look at Jodie then when you were in the middle of that monologue. You went like that. I like that.
He knows he's never, ever, ever.
Well, no, because you're untouchable.
Yeah,
You're
but
nice
what
queen.
about my fantasies?
You can have fantasies.
So if I could have fantasies with you, it wouldn't bother you?
No.
Would it
Well,
bother
she'll
you?
never know about it,
Bother
would
me
she?
what?
If I had a fantasy about you?
I know you have.
Okay.
But she'd never know about it because it's a fantasy.
Yeah, but he would tell her
Why would you tell me?
because he's like that. Isn't
He might
it's our
put-
chance. It's like fishing. If I don't put the bait out there, how am I going to catch a fish?
But then it's going to go.
And
then
that
then
is
it's
the-
going beyond the realms of.
But then you're bringing that into reality.
fantasy.
That's wrong.
You bring it
Because
into
it
reality
doesn't make a
then.
difference. For example, personally speaking, you have fantasized about someone, and if you know them, you probably say, how many of us have said it? I had a dream about you last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone says
Yeah,
it. What
yeah,
do they
yeah.
use the dream instead of, I was having sex with my wife and I actually shagged you. Excuse my
Yeah.
French. But what I'm saying is, you actually say, I had a dream about you last night. And you're hoping they say, oh, really? Was it nice?
But
"Oh, it
that
was
she
really
enjoyed
good."
it.
But women never say that. They never say, was it nice? Or was I good?
No, they never
Because
do.
they don't want to hear the truth. Because if it wasn't good.
Yeah. But it is true. That's what fantasy does. A fantasy is a case of doing something like that. Is it being unfaithful?
If you're dreaming about somebody, you've
No,
got,
no,
to
I
help.
don't think
so.
You've got to help dreaming about somebody.
My wife once said to me, she said, have you ever, have you ever thought about somebody while we're, And I said, yeah.
Blatantly, yeah.
And she
Every
said,
night.
She said, who? I can't tell her the truth. So I said, this is ridiculous. I said, Kathleen Turner.
Who?
The actress Kathleen Turner.
Kathleen
Who is
Turner.
really, really obese and ugly and horrible now.
She is quite ugly.
But when she did Romance in the Stone and all that sort of stuff, she was fit. So and it just came out. So now
bet she
every
laughed at you,
time,
your wife.
yeah, and every time she came on the telly after that, my wife's going,
Switched it off.
there's your bird.
Okay, but what would your wife do then if say it's one of us three? Because she's seen us, we sat having a drink with
I
her.
think that's
we're
not long
completely
real.
ago.
different.
Yeah,
She
but the thing
Would
is,
you
I
tell
don't.
her if it was one of us?
You see, I don't dream about you three. Well,
I bet you will tonight,
well,
because this is going to be on your mind
oh
when you
God.
Daryl
You're doing
will
it to me
tonight.
again.
Oh, me?
phone me up tomorrow and say, I dreamt about you last
No,
night.
I think you three have popped into my head. Now, I told you before that I've thought about you three.
Hold on a minute. Just when you arrived, you said, I thought about you this morning
Yes,
at
you
the bus
did.
stop.
Precisely. It wasn't a bus
All
stop. I don't
four of
travel
you.
on buses. I have my limousine outside. I don't use the bus.
No, he stopped for a fag at the bus stop.
I was waiting for a colleague of mine, and I knew I was going to spend the day with you three, and there's another lady on the crew that I think is absolutely gorgeous, and I was just comparing you in my mind, which is, I suppose, fantasising, yeah?
Yes,
course.
exactly.
Of course it
But then
is.
I got here, and you lot dragged it out of me. That's not my... It should have stayed in my head.
Out of you.
You did.
You feel bad.
You did. And
Right,
This is
let
terrible.
the girls say their bit about their fantasies. Come on, girls, throw it out. Come on,
What?
tell us about your
Oh,
fantasy.
right.
What do you, do you think? Come on, what's your
I would
fantasy?
fantasise probably more about somebody famous.
here we go.
Here we go.
Sorry, Daryl. Sorry, Andre.
And I'm just waiting for the
Because-
name to come out.
Oh, you know who I'm going to say.
Oh, not the football man.
Yeah.
What's his name, that funny guy?
Beckham.
Is it Beckham, is it? That funny name?
So we've so far
Go on
managed
then, what's yours?
Donny Osmond and Beckham again.
Go on then, what's yours?
But
My fantasy is 2 men.
All right, well, that was mine. But I thought we weren't allowed to really say that at this
No,
point.
that's okay.
Why not?
Because, I don't know, there could be children watching.
that's not so bad.
I don't think that's a
sorry
bad
if there
thing.
is, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
but could
you
probably
girls-
go with you on that as well.
Do you not
Is
fantasise
the
about men in
famous-
uniform and things like that? That's quite a big
Oh,
thing.
Yes.
gosh, yeah, you see a nice
Fireman.
Oh,
The
fireman,
policeman, I was following the policeman the other day on the motorbike,
Oh,
and I was
no,
thinking,
fireman for
now
me.
that'd be all right.
Stuntmen?
Oh, fireman.
Stuntman even.
Stuntman.
Sorry, I'm going into a little fireman mode.
Oh, they are
Into a
nice.
little
So why
fire.
don't you girls go out and buy a uniform and stick it in the bedroom? Because it's only the uniform, it's not the guy in it.
No, it's the guy
Oh,
in
it's
it.
not.
No,
It's
no,
the
no,
guy
no,
in
no. The guy in it as well. There's something about, especially these Spanish police,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
something about them.
Guardia Civil.
Yeah, when they're on the motorbikes.
Oh,
It is, it's true.
I'm not
I'm
even
not
gonna
seeing
go
I've
that.
been
there.
pulled under a few
watching
times
this,
and must
but
admit,
sorry,
and I've
sorry
just
if he's
got-
watching
sorry,
this,
Jabba.
but no, so it's apologising to my husband if he's watching this, because I've never actually told him
Ah!
that I look at the Guardia Civil and think, poor.
Not all of them. Hold on, not all of them.
Most of them have been
Yeah?
quite nice. Yeah.
That's funny because I look at the Guardia Civil and go, oh God,
And put your foot down.
You know,
what have I done now?
I've been stopped a few times and I've just gone, hello. Couldn't help it. Drool,
just let you
drool,
go.
drool.
Do you always get off? I mean, with the not with the. Do you always get off of whatever it is they've pulled you for?
Touch wood, yeah.
'Cause you
I mean,
go
it's
like
been not for
You can
drink
back
driving
your
or
own- you can
anything
back
like
your
that,
own.
anything really bad. It's mainly for, you know, for your
Documents.
papers and
Yeah.
So there's only firemen and policemen then.
It's uniforms, isn't it?
uniform.
What about a soldier?
Oh,
A soldier.
pilot. No, I
Pilot,
must say,
yeah.
that uniform does it for me.
You know what they're going to do now, don't you, girls? Next
Ex-cabin
time we
crew,
meet
I know.
up, they're all good. They're both going to turn up in uniforms.
I'm not because I look like Fireman Sam.
So you take these fantasies to home at night with you. You 2 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning, you think, oh, that policeman I saw today.
Well, you could do, yeah.
Depending
So
on
is
how
that
much
being,
of an impact
is
he
that
had
being
on you.
unfaithful to your husband because you're now taking an image back of someone you've actually met and going to fantasise about him?
No.
with
Well,
your
you
husband?
haven't actually met him,
No.
physically met him and touched him, have you? You've only spoke with him.
Which is the question was, is it being unfaithful?
No, because I've
Fantasise
forgotten
about
about
someone.
By
No,
the
it's
time I
not.
get home,
No.
I've forgotten about
So
it,
it's-
really.
No.
That's because
Then
you
I
have to
get-
do the washing up.
Get back into... Yes, I do, and my husband does as well.
I think he
'cause
just
he's a nice guy.
spruces up your life.
But that's what it's there for. That's what a fantasy
It's
is there
fun
for.
in your head, I
If
think.
a lot of times, if you make your fantasy a reality, then you don't enjoy it anywhere near as much. That's why fantasies are better left in your
Yeah,
head.
but how do you know? Because if your partner would allow your fantasy, then to make it a reality, it could be very, very, very nice.
So
when
every
you
night
start-
you're going to come home with a bloke from the Guardia Civil and she's going to turn up with half a fire brigade.
It's totally acceptable at the end of the day to have a sexual fantasy. Of
course
yes.
it is.
Yeah,
Of
it's a
course
bit
it
of fun
is.
as
Fantastic.
well.
Of course it is.
We've all agreed. We
Yes.
all have them. We all think about them.
And we will.
And we
keep on
will
having them.
continue
Yeah.
to.
I think you'd be a bit dull if you
Okay,
didn't.
guys, we're going to leave it there
I think we should.
on the sexual fantasies.
Okay.
Let's have a little cheer.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Cheers, guys.
Till
There
next
you go.
time. Cheers.
Lovely to see you all again.